Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Before I get into this video, I'd like to ask you all to please leave a like or comment on my video, consider subscribing to my channel, and if you dislike the content, please leave a comment. Now I am going into the Phantasm Elite faction ship, and I am actually going to go into this ahead of where I planned. It was a request that came through to me, and I decided that I might as well give it into the current situation because it's one of the available ships. I do know the Cinnaball is definitely available, and I know that this ship is available at the moment. So let me go into it and give a quick breakdown on a quick build. Now, here's something to understand about the Phantasm. The Phantasm is a laser vessel that isn't an armor tank. It is a shield tank, and its attributes are focused around the shield. Now, if you look at it starting from the top, it has one drone, four high slots, which make a major difference in the entire build of this vessel, three mid, five medium, and then it has your standard rigs in combat and engineering. Now, its role bonus in is plus one max shield field modules. Now, I don't understand what they mean by max field shield modules. If I'm correct, that's a support role field shield. I'm not exactly sure on it. It might be able to run support as well. I'm not entirely sure on what this purpose is for that module slot. The next thing is it is a laser weapon vessel, so laser weapons give it a bonus plus 15% damage for every level in your advanced medium lasers and plus 7.5% tracking speed. Now, if you pair this up correctly on a ship, it's a massive bonus. It's over 75% extra damage on this lasers, and that 37.5% tracking speed is a good improvement to its tracking speed. Means that it can track much faster opponents. It's going to be good against small ships as well as ships in its own class. Now, moving down into your command bonus, it gives you a velocity bonus on your afterburner plus 25%. Now, if you have enough research on your afterburner, it'll be 181% plus this 25. That'll make it 206%. So 206% on the speed, a massive bonus for you, plus 5% shield. So your shield is going to increase by 5% if you're throwing on something like an extender, if you're increasing it with a field with an adaptive shield hardener. Now all of this is going to improve the ship overall. But this ship as it stands is a stronger one from the total because it has over 20,000 overall defense. And most of it is in the shield, so it has a stronger shield than the other vessels. Flight velocity of 253 meters per second. It's the same as your regular vessels in the cruisers. It has 3 AU warp speed, 1086 megawatt power grid. Now I am going to keep a calculator with me because I lost count earlier. The capacitor is 4657 gigajoules standard for a laser boat, and 820 cubic meter storage. Now let's open it quickly and look at the direct distribution of the shielding. Okay, even though right now as you're looking at the defense, there's definitely something missing. You just scale it up till you come to the balance within their ratios. I'm not sure why it doesn't calculate out correctly. It doesn't even work when you have it on your ship. It increases it slightly to say that you have some bonuses, but you never ever come out with all of your defense. It's always lost somewhere in this entire makeup. I don't understand what's going on totally myself. It's something to do with the way the stats show. It's that glitch most likely that they were talking about patching. So anyway, when you're looking at it, as you can see, it regains charge quite well at about 20 gigajoules a second, and everything else is pretty much standard on them. So let's start with this build. Now we have 1083 megawatts, so that's where we're going to start off with our total weapons. Now the first thing to do is to think about it as a laser boat. So go to your lasers. You're looking for the biggest range on any laser, so you're gonna go, let's see, I know you could use pulse on this here, but as I say, anything that keeps your range very low means that you have to keep high end combat. So if you're going for the pulse lasers, remember you're going close in. That's more suited to PVE than PV. That's more suited to PvP than PVE. You want higher damage, faster fighting, especially since it's a shield boat with the massive velocity gain. It is definitely going to function in that role. So let's continue down. Now, the beam weapons aren't the very best of the lasers. I do understand that, and I do know that they're slightly weaker than the other lasers. But the fact that they fire so fast and have such a nice range, they're about the same as your missile launchers when it starts. So I'm expecting that with research, they reach about the same amount. Now, you can only equip 4 of this at 139 megawatts. They do consume 24.5 gigajoules per activation, and that's once every 6 seconds. You're gaining about 20 gigajoules a second, so all 5 lasers are cancelled out in gain uh, by your regular gain. So if you were just using these weapons, your cap will remain stable. You will have enough time to fight. So let's alter this up a little bit and see where we can go. Now, as I'm saying, the build I'm currently giving is more or less for a PvP type build. You don't want to get too close to anything that can slow you down, especially with the fast ship, because when they slow you down, you take damage, and you want to always increase that resistance to damage. So let's see, what is it? 520 minus 4, that's 516. So we have 567 megawatts to work with in the ship. Let's look at the top. What would have been the difference? It's much lower on the power need. It's heavier on the damage. And considering the range, you could actually run these in combat quite fairly. Yeah, you would be able to stay out of range of warp disruptors. So wait, let's swap it out for the pulse lasers instead. Considering that they are going to get quite a boost in range, this is purely because of everybody reaching the advanced level, and the skill redistribution means you can always pump it up to expert 2 or expert 3, and that is going to make you a very, very effective player when it comes to your lasers. Now let's work it out. uh, 480 minus 12, that's 468. So 615 megawatts left. The reason why I decided this is I know that you can make it fire even faster than it currently does, and considering its range, its speed, its power, this would be a much smarter move for anybody to use. It is going to be highly ineffective against the armor of most vessels, so that's where this weapon is going to lose regardless. So let's see what we can do. Now, because of the limited space on these capacitors, I always drop down to the low slot first, and then I'll add in all my engineering bonuses to my power grid. The reason for it is it's always easier to add it in last, even though you can add your 40% right away and say you had 1483 to work with, but do it at the last minute so that you don't ever overestimate your capacitor from the start. Now, going down to the low slot, this is a shield boat, so shield hardener first one, you're gonna go for the adaptive at the best that you can get. That's going to be 1 megawatt, so -1. Now, if I'm correct on the shield module field, it is a support vessel um, usage, so nothing to really stress about. It does consume quite a bit of power from this setup. 34.1 gigajoules every 10 seconds divided by 10, That's 3.4 gigajoules you need to recover every second. So your modules now, you're going to have to gain a little bit of extra power. Now, you remember that there's 5 modules, so that's number one. Next on the list is going to be the shield booster. Now, I already know that it's 80 something for the shield booster, but medium is minus 55. I'm making a mistake. I don't know why I'm doing that. Okay, so adding the shield booster to that whole situation, now we have an even better situation because we have a harder shield which is bigger and stronger, and the fact that it will keep regaining at a faster rate. Now we also know that it has a boost for afterburners, so we're going to go straight down to the afterburners and we're going to change it up, and this is going to impact our power majorly immediately. Yeah, there's it, minus 83. And that gives us 476 megawatts to work with. Now we have 3 out of 5 fittings. What are the options for us to use in the next 2 fittings? Now we can extend it to make it the best shield that it ever can have, or we can go and improve its weapons. So I am actually going to go with the option of extending its shield a little bit more. So shield extender as one of the best fittings to use on any one of your shield tanks. It helps you recover shield when you're in a pinch. So minus 75 gives me with 400 megawatts. I now can fit anything I want in the mid slot, and I know that whatever I'm going to put in for my final slot isn't really going to hurt me. You can put a damage control unit, you can put a capacitor battery. Actually, a capacitor battery will help you out majorly with this vessel, considering how much of power it's going to drain. If you throw on the capacitor battery, you improve your. Wait, what is it? Let me look at this again. The capacitor battery has an improvement to your power grid gain, and it really helps to keep stable. What is it? Uh, I'm not sure, but I know for a fact before I put this on my vessel, I was running at just around stable, and once it was equipped onto my vessel, I kept running above stable. It keeps even my battle cruiser above stable. It negates the effects of being drained by Norse or being disrupted by Caltrop. It keeps gaining in that time, and I think it gains at your optimal rate. So you'll gain at 20 joules per second, and it will feed off the 1000 joules um, shield which this booster gives you. So it only loses its own power, and it also feeds off that to give everything else power. So you regain power till everything drops out that remaining 400 megawatts of power that it has, 400 gigajoules of power, and that's where you actually win. So this is one of the possibilities on your ship. You can equip a battery. Now, if you equip a battery, that means you're going for more stable shield build over assault build. Now, if you want to go for a harder hitting build, you're going to go straight down to your weapon upgrades, and you are going to go straight for a heatsink, if I'm correct. Let me double check this. Yeah, this is meant for this purpose. It makes it fire even faster. It lasts for 20 seconds. It gives you a damage bonus, so everything that you'd want, and it only costs 7 megawatts. Now, it does run pretty expensive for its timing, even though it's once every 60 seconds. That works out to about 2 gigajoules just to switch it on. That's 80 total seconds in its activation till it deactivates, at which point it's draining your power even faster because your weapons are firing faster at that time. So it actually impacts your capacitor worse. So if you're running this, it is going to drain you very quickly. You can swap your shield extender out for the battery and run the heatsink. That will make it a very, very stable build for you, and you can stay out of range of any weber fires, along with any type of energy drain from the small ships. Now, when you're playing with this vessel, the first thing that you have to remember is small ships are your enemy. You have to get rid of them because the moment they get in range of you, they're going to wreck your entire build. Now you have 400, wait, minus 83. You have 318 megawatts at the safest, uh, at the lowest possible. You have much more if you went with the assault type build. Now, what this means for you overall is your 318 megawatts is now left for you to use in your mid slot. Now, first thing that you're going to do is equip a drone. Now, I'll go straight into medium and I'll go Vesper. Now, the reason why I keep using Vesper is it is a constant damage. You can also use the Hammerheads, exact same difference. They have a constant damage moving through each and every faction. Okay, and going down, we're now going to think about what we're going to put on this vessel. Now, since it is a cruiser, stasis weber fire for PvP or PvE is fine, and so is it for having a warp disruptor on it. Now, the current build that I'm giving you will work fairly in PvP. It isn't going to be the very best in PvP. However, in PvE, this is going to work quite well. As far as I can estimate, the way the shields will work, you're not really going to take a lot of damage, plus the fact that you have enough of a boost to it, plus the fact that it's a faction ship, and if you were getting a faction ship, you're going to go hunting factions to get level 3 um, rigs. Now, a lot of people say level 3 rigs aren't important. I'm going to tell you differently, and I'm going to show you why in a second. Now, when you equip a disruptor on your vessel, it's purely for PvP purposes, but you can put one stasis weber fire and a double Norse. Now, the catch with this is you can't use the Norse until after you've taken care of all your small ships. That's any frigates or destroyers. They must be totally gone before you start using it. Because going one on one with a cruiser or a battle cruiser, if you get weber fired and slowed, they're going to hit you and destroy you very, very quickly. And your resistance isn't going to stack up because you're going to lose speed very fast. I know I tested out my CNI when it was almost invulnerable. I decided to do a torpedo build with it, and I decided to let it play with the Norse range. At the Norse range, I don't do enough damage to keep it stable, and it ended up costing me quite heavy. I ended up spending a few million. Actually, you all can see that in the solo super soft drink. It cost me a few million to replace it, plus the fact that they use Caltrops really hurt me badly. And if I was playing with a little bit of a better strategy using these Norse equipment, I most probably would have done a lot better. As you can see, the 88 megawatts a piece, so they aren't really that heavy. Let's see what the large is. Nah, I wouldn't be able to fit the large on this vessel, so I would end up using the mediums. Two mediums is good enough for you. Using a large would definitely give you a massive edge, but the catch on it is it's so big that it's going to fill up most of your capacitor. And even though you're gaining 40% extra, and even if you went with this build, you have 718 megawatts plus extra on top of that. And if you put on the right equipment in your power grid, you have even more total power. You could equip it and a regular medium at the same time, but equipping both of those isn't the most efficient, and that's where you're going to lose power. Since you're still very cap stable, it isn't really something to worry about at this point. If you do want to go with the large energy drain, let me show you why you'd go for it. Look at the amount that it drains per transfer, 230 gigajoules, and look at what the medium does. It's a massive difference, 74 to 230. It's the difference between losing power on your ship and keeping yourself stable. If you run a large on your ship, you can only run one, and it will be one large energy drain plus one medium energy drain, and it will help you keep those elite vessels down in most missions. They're going to take a lot of damage very quickly, and they're going to lose their benefits from their shield hardeners and extenders. So basically, they're going to power up and then they're going to be defenseless for a few seconds. So if you play it right, you can use these to give you a massive edge. But if you're going to play something big like this in your mid slot, the big catch for you is going to be in engineering. Now, I'm just going to open out the engineering for this vessel. Number one, you can do this here. You can put the navigation thruster rig. Now I'm just going to show you a level 2, 15%. Right, 15% on top of your speed is going to be quite a big boost, but 20% is an even bigger boost. It is 5% more, and it doesn't seem like it's that much more, but 20% velocity on your vessel is a massive boost overall. Just 5% extra means that reduction in damage becomes larger. So if you can get a hold of the level 3s, make sure you go and you farm them up, get them out of those missions, and use them. As you can see, they're still not available for resale. I'm not sure whether they can't be made or whether they are so rare in finds that players will get it, just equip it on their ships. Actually, wait. If I'm correct, you get it in blueprints. Yeah, you do get level 3. And as you can see, it's most of the time for purchase. Now, as you can see, you'd have to purchase a blueprint just to make it, and that is going to take you some time to optimize and work on it. Now, when it comes to the rigs, rig 3s are definitely the way to go. They're going to improve your ship by leaps and bounds, and it's going to make you a lot more efficient in terms of combat. So let's wait. I didn't even open one of these to double check. Yeah, there definitely is something in here. Okay, so you're going to go with the rig 3 on your speed. Now, the next thing that you're going to do on your capacitor is you're going to give it that boost to its regain. Now, I'm going to open this. I'm going to go into engineering. Now, you have to go level 3, especially with the Phantasm. Wait, wrong one. You have to go with the adjustment in recharge time. Minus 17.5% to adjustment time. That means that that massive figure of 600 minus 17% from it, it gives you a slightly lower figure, and it improves that amount of gain that you get per second. So from 19, you might get something like 25 or 28. Now, that little boost may seem like it's very tiny, but including your shield boosters and everything else that's going to run on your ship when you're playing in that close range, this is going to make a massive difference. With your 4 weapons firing plus this, remember you almost have a 5,000 gigajoule um, capacitor, and you do have a bonus to how fast you are gaining capacitance. But this plus increased capacitor size or increased, if you're going with large the large NOS, you can always increase your power grid on your ship. There's it, and that's going to give you 12.5. Okay, I did make a mistake with that. 12.5%. Is that going to give you enough? Uh, yeah, it is. It is. You will have just enough store regardless. 10% of 1,000 is 100. So when you add it on, you'll have enough to put on your rig for your large, but you might have to run double web. It still is a bigger gain in power than the other route around. And if you aren't going to go for the big one and you're going to go 2 mediums, you can just put on an increase in your capacitor itself that gives you a much larger capacitor to start with, and it allows you to fight for a lot longer before you have to recharge or get out to dock and recharge your capacitor. Now, even with all of this being said, the next thing which is a big problem is going to be your offense or defense rigs. Depending which way you want to play this build, it's going to make a massive difference. Now, when it comes to offensive rigs on this ship, you can increase your laser damage. Right? You can increase your laser range. But I would suggest increasing the range and the damage together if you're going for it. And the last one to always improve your shield booster percentage by 25%. Now, what that does for you is it allows you to gain more shield every time you need to recharge shield. it means you're going to attack harder and you're going to hit harder, and the loss of power is going to be smaller every time you activate that shield booster. If you're going to go a full defensive rig and count on everything from your heatsink, you can equip, let's see, um, let's say you're using the heatsink and you don't want to go with the assault build, you want to go with a more defensive build, you're going to go 25% boost on your shield booster, and you're going to do a reduction in capacitor. That's capacitor need, you're going to have it reduced, and you're then going to do a plus 25% on your shield extender. That's for a full shield build. Now, with the full shield build, obviously you're not going to keep a heat sink. If you have the heat sink, you're not going to put on the shield booster, you're going to put in the laser damage. Now, those are the small things you can swap around, and in comparison to, wait, let me just double check that I did get that right. I think I might have made a mistake with this build. You see, it wasn't something that I planned so early. I actually have it planned for a few days, so normally I do this separately and I go through the shop. Now let's double check that I got that low rigs. Yeah, 5 low slots for. Okay, so everything was fine. With the rigs that I said that you should put on it, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have a much better boosted shield, so you can recover a lot faster. My CNI can take on super soft drink most of the way. As you can see, it's only when I lose my capacitor that I have a problem. If I'm using the battery, I'm almost immune. It's just that the caltrops still catch me eventually over time, and once it starts impacting me quite heavily, I start taking damage through my shield non-stop into my capacitor. Now with the torpedo launchers, the problem is that I close in too much in distance and I get webified too quickly. Once I get webified, all of my resistance from speed gets disrupted. Now if you're going to be running NOS, make sure the small ships are all gone. Now, what you're going to do is you're actually going to run in close and you're going to take care of all those small little frigates and destroyers all around the place. Once they are all gone, you can go in as wild as you want. You don't even have to sit there. You can activate the settings for you to auto lock an optimal distance or optimal range, and it's going to give you in that perfect range with everything active, and you're going to kill everybody before they even have a chance to kill you. Now, regardless of your build, from everything that I said you can interchange, exchange, and put onto your ship, you always have this advantage. Now, the higher your skills are in your engineering, the better it is for a laser boat. It's always way better to have higher engineering because the increased speed in recovering capacitor is there from the engineering bonus. Let me just double check it. Now I am saying a double check even though I already know what I'm talking about. That's because sometimes even I'll make this mistake because it becomes so redundant to go looking at it. Capacity, no it doesn't. So it looks like I did make a mistake. Or was it something in advanced? No, it doesn't look like it. No, so there is no bonuses to capacitor regain. But the larger your capacitor on your ship, obviously the faster it regains overall, and it means that you have a much larger time to regain power. So when you have a larger capacitor on the ship, if I am correct, it tries to keep the time down to the same amount, and with your right rigging up of the vessel, it means that you don't take that much of a heavy loss. With small this things like the NOS, it's giving you 74 a second. If you manage to take care of all the small things, even a max level mission in a Mars space, you could get through it with the right fittings on your ship. I don't like testing myself out against those so much, even though they have a better reward. I find that the time that you invest into it is a little bit too risky for the vessels that you're putting in. I know that people have been soloing T10 with this vessel. Actually, that's Sovereign. A fantastic build from Sovereign. I have to admit that that build was absolutely a genius one. That's how come I saw the idea for the large Nosferatus. And as I said, you have to improve everything to use it on your ship. if you don't improve everything correctly and you just try and use it, you're going to end up getting penalized heavily in that fight, and everything that you're trying is just going to fall away for you. You can sacrifice a low slot for that bonus, but it isn't the best thing to do. If you run everything with the build that I gave you, you're most likely going to fare well in PvP. The Phantasm is absolutely dangerous in PvP. Most players get wrecked with it because of its high shield bonus. It really throws players off when you see a laser hitting you that hard, because normally you blast through a laser's shields and its shields are going to stay up all the way to the end of the fight. So that's the whole reason behind my build. This build wasn't done the way I normally do it. It's a bit too premature for me. I might redo it again when I come to it in the sequence of events, and the build might be slightly different. I'll just double check to see if I do change anything in my ideas. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you have a good day, and thank you all for watching.